Well, we're getting a lot cooler right now. I'm up in Washington State, and I wanted to take the Chevy Bolt on a little one-day trip. Uh, Started out about 28 degrees, and I wanted to take a trip with it and then come back and use the DC charger, fast charger, to see how much it slows down in the colder weather. Well, it warmed up a little bit while I was going, but anyway, I ended up at 39 degrees. And so this trip was about 130 miles. I started out at 87% using the Hilltop Reserve, and I got back at about 45 miles. Okay, so, and I kind of did this last year, but I didn't really record it very well. And I could wish for it to be a little cooler, because I know the charging rate is lower in cold temperatures. I kind of thought it would be a little bit better this time because I'd been on highway speeds using a fair amount of energy, and that does tend to warm the batteries up. It doesn't seem to warm up very much. Now remember, these batteries, they love about 75 degrees. And the battery temperature was well below 75 degrees when I started the charge. So let's take a look. I'm going to show you some times and kilowatts that are being put into this thing. So let's take a look and see what happens. One other thing I did want to throw at you, Electrify America is a station. They did drop a nickel off of their charging rate. But I have yet to find one in Washington or Montana or Idaho that has accepted the credit card the first time around. Some of them I've had to try 2 or 3 different ones. I've had to call them. I've had to do I always have to call them, it seems like. This one here got a little short thing in the front of it. It did finally take the credit card the second time around. So here's what happened at the charger. Okay, here we are coming up to the station. The cords on these things don't fit up for sour apples unless you're really close. So I got to get it right up there and dang near bump into the thing to be able to get the cord to fit. You can see I hit the cord on that one side. So, okay, I'm up there sticking credit card in, plugging it in anyway. I'm going to try the credit card here in a sec, and we'll see what happens. Well, the roundy round thing going and saying, yeah, we're processing, and it says payment decline. Okay, so tried it again. Pulled the card out, put it back in. And a roundy round thing, and let's see, it's going to come up here in a minute. Okay, it took it. Hooray. It took the card, and we're happy campers, and we're going to hook up and start charging. Now it's 39 degrees out here. I would prefer it to have been colder, but it started out at 28 or 29 and ended up at 39. I may do this thing again in a really cold time. But let's look at some of the stuff here. I've got it at 25%, and the maximum charging rate on this thing is 34 kW. Now this car is capable of about 55 kW, certainly 50 kW, but it doesn't always get there. And if the temperature is low, below that 70 degrees, at least the battery pack is below 70 or 75, then it's not going to charge as fast. So here I am with my 25% and 34 kilowatts is the max this thing is going to go. Okay, now we're at 30% charge, and it's gone up to about 36 or 37. So the battery pack is probably warming up a little bit. I think when you're charging it, it tends to heat a little bit more when you're discharging while you're driving. Now here we're at 35%, and we're still at 37. We've gone up to 38 and back to 37 again. Now here we're at 40%, and we're at 40 kW. So it's gone up a little bit, I believe, because the battery pack is warming. Okay, here we are at the 47% number, and we've actually gone up to 43 kW. So that battery pack is warming a little bit more, and it's accepting charge at a little bit faster rate. Still somewhat below the maximum this thing can take at the right temperatures. And here we've hit the magic 50%. Now we've dropped back down to 37. Now that's typical. These things hit 50% and they're going to drop the charging rate down quite a bit. And here we're up to 61%. We're still sitting there at that 38% number, and it's going to continue for a while. So here we can see now we're at 68% and we dropped down to 23 kW. And it's going to stay at that until until it shuts off. This shuts off in after about a half hour. Anyway, that's the way it works at about 40 degrees. Now, I'd like to try this again when it's really cold as I can manage to get it out there, and we'll see if that limits it anymore. But just for your information, if you are charging at anything other than optimum temperature, which is probably 60 to 75 degrees, it will be charged lower. It does the same at high temperatures. As soon as the battery cooling comes on, it also drops off the charging rate. Okay, that's it on this one.